Hi, my name's Christabella and today I want to talk to you about your emotions. So on my channel I talk a lot about neurological disorders such as dyspraxia, autism and Asperger's, and one of the questions I get asked a lot, or a lot of questions that I see kind of floating around the internet, is in regards to emotions. Most of those questions are, is my high sensitivity with emotions related to my dyspraxia, and if it is, then, is it something that I should just shrug off? The answer to that is yes, it can be related to your dyspraxia, autism and Asperger's, and the other answer is no, you should not shrug it off. Your mental health is one of the most important things that you should never put aside for anything. Your emotions are always valid regardless of your situation and completely regardless of your disability that you may or may not have. Just because you have a disability that enhances or disenhance your perception of emotions does not mean it's something that should be shrugged off and just kind of, well, they're just overreacting or underreacting because of this, this and this. That should never, ever be the answer to any form of mental health related issue. The same being as well is if you don't have a disability and it's like, well, they have no reason to be this upset, so, your emotions are always valid regardless of your situation. Now, having a neurological disorder does affect your ability to perceive emotions. Chances are you are very heightened to perceiving emotions in a way of you might take something a bit more to heart than what other people would, and you can not always understand people's emotions, and that's totally normal, 100% in fact. You may struggle to understand when someone is feeling upset, and especially when someone's being sarcastic. Sarcasm is very well known for people with neurological disorders to not fully understand. And it can also mean that you will show emotions that you're not necessarily meaning to portray. So, for example, in an environment where you're meant to be sad and sympathetic, when you speak to someone, it may sound sarcastic and in no way mean sympathetic in any way, which is a misunderstanding of your body language and not really understanding how to perceive that, and that's not done by purpose. So if you're someone who is trying to understand someone's neurological disorder, then just know that the way that they perceive themselves may not always be the way that they intended. I myself do struggle with this quite a lot. I often find myself being much too enthusiastic when I'm not trying to be, and that's just in a normal general conversation with friends and family where I think I'm being totally relaxed and really cool, but I'm being way, way over the top, which when you're confronted on it can be really, really embarrassing and upsetting. And yeah, you're going to be more upset than normal because that's just how you perceive emotions. It's totally normal as well where in a situation where you're meant to be feeling a certain type of emotion and you're just not. Don't worry about that. Everyone reacts to things completely differently. You may find that in your alone time you're more upset, or around people you're more upset, or you're just struggling to have those emotions at all. This isn't really something to worry about as such, but it should still be taken seriously, the same as any other emotion. If you're struggling with your emotions because you're being very emotional or you're being under-emotional to a situation, it's always important to take that very, very seriously. Like I said, regardless of your situation, your emotions are always valid. Everyone displays these differently, everyone feels these differently. Now, there are a number of ways you can go about helping yourself in terms of your emotional kind of situation. There are some apps that you can download on your phone. One I recently come across was an app called BetterHelp. You do pay for the service that they give, and it's done on a weekly, monthly or yearly basis. It's always important to fully read the T's and C's because I unfortunately misinterpreted that. But it's an app that I recommend. There are things on Pinterest, Tumblr, there are even self-help videos on YouTube. If you contact your local doctor, your GP, they will give multiple different ways that you can go about dealing with it, whether it being your dietary intake, it could be over the phone counselling, it could be face-to-face counselling. A lot of churches provide a lot of stuff like that, so I definitely worth considering it. Just remember, your emotions are always valid regardless of any disability that you do or do not have, and it should always be taken seriously. Same goes to those who are not with a disability and trying to understand someone. Just because they're struggling to perceive that, and you can easily see that, or you're struggling to see that, always take that seriously, regardless of someone's emotional abilities and disabilities. Always take it seriously. Someone's emotions are always valid. And yeah, bye bye, bye bye, bye.